She was the only woman in her DEA boot camp, and they made sure she knew it. But when the commander saw the tattoo on her back, everything changed. Before we dive in, hit subscribe and turn on notifications. This story will make you rethink what it means to fight for respect. The target on her back. The desert sun burned white-hot over the DEA training facility, turning the dusty obstacle course into a merciless gauntlet. Sweat stung Mia Vasquez's eyes as she adjusted the straps of her tactical vest, her muscles already screaming from the morning's drills. Around her, the other recruits, all men, cracked jokes, their laughter sharp and pointed in her direction. "Hey, princess," called Jake Mercer, his voice dripping with sarcasm. "You sure you don't want to sit this one out? Wouldn't want you to break a nail." Mia ignored him, rolling her shoulders back. She'd heard it all before. Too small, too weak, just a token higher. The same garbage she'd faced in the Marines. But she wasn't here to prove herself to them. She was here for the two names inked into her skin, hidden beneath her shirt. "All right, maggots," barked Commander Harkoff, a grizzled wall of a man with a reputation for breaking recruits. "This course separates the DEA from the deadweight. You fail here, you fail in the field. And in the field, failure means a body bag." A whistle blew. Mia launched forward, her boots kicking up dust as she sprinted toward the first obstacle, a 10-foot wall. The men around her surged ahead, their longer legs giving them an early advantage. She didn't care. Speed wasn't the test. Endurance was. She reached the wall, jumped, and grabbed a ledge. Just as she pulled herself up, a hand shot out, Jake's, and shoved her shoulder. Mia's grip slipped. She hit the ground hard, the impact rattling her teeth. Mud splattered across her face, her vest, her arms. Laughter erupted around her. "Damn, Vasquez," Jake sneered, already scaling the wall. "Maybe try a ladder next time." For a second, she just lay there, breathing through the humiliation. Then she wiped the mud from her eyes and stood. The squad had moved on, already halfway through the course. But Mia didn't rush. She took the wall again, slower this time, her fingers finding the grooves the others had missed. She climbed, and then she ran. She overtook them at the rope traverse, her arms burning as she swung hand over hand. She passed them to tire drag, her legs driving forward like pistons. By the time she reached the final sprint, she wasn't just ahead, she was untouchable. Mia crossed the finish line first. Silence. Then Harkoff's voice, low and measured. "Vasquez, my office. Now." The walk back was worse than the run. The men stared, their smirks gone, replaced by something darker, resentment. Mia kept her chin up. Harkoff's office was sparse. Just a desk, a flag, and a framed photo of a younger him in military gear. He didn't sit. "Take off your shirt," he said. Mia stiffened. "Sir, you heard me." Her jaw clenched, but she obeyed. The fabric peeled away from her skin, sticky with sweat and dirt. And there it was, the Phoenix. Wings spread across her shoulders, flames curling down her spine. And beneath it, in stark black letters, SGT Daniel Reyes, CPL Lucia Montez. Harkoff's eyes locked onto the names. His face did something strange, like a crack in stone. "You were in the 75th. It wasn't a question. Mia nodded. 2 tours. Harkoff exhaled, long and slow. Then he turned to the photo on his desk. "So was I." The air in the room shifted. "Reyes and Montez," he said. "They were good soldiers." Mia's throat tightened. "They were my team." A beat. Then Harkoff picked up his phone. "Get cleaned up. You're being reassigned." "Sir, effective tomorrow," he said. "You're undercover, and you report directly to me." Mia didn't smile. She just pulled her shirt back on, the names against her skin like armor. Outside, the men were still waiting, still watching. But for the first time since she'd arrived, Mia Vasquez wasn't a joke. She was the threat. The Phoenix rises. The barracks were silent when Mia returned. The only sound the hum of the ancient air conditioner struggling against the desert heat. The other recruits pretended not to stare as she walked past their bunks, but she felt their eyes on her, whispers hiding behind clenched teeth. Jake leaned against his bed, arms crossed, watching her like a predator sizing up wounded prey. "Guess Harkov finally figured out you don't belong here," he said, loud enough for the whole room to hear. "What did he do? Bench you?" Mia didn't answer. She grabbed her towel and headed for the showers. The water was scalding, just how she liked it. Steam curled around her as she pressed her forehead against the tile, letting the heat sear away the exhaustion. The names on her back burned hotter than the water ever could. Reyes, Montez. She could still hear their voices. "You're going to carry all that, Vasquez?" Reyes had laughed, watching her pack extra ammo before patrol. "What, you planning to single-handedly win the war?" "Nah," Montez had chimed in, tossing her a protein bar. "She's just making sure we don't starve when you inevitably get us lost again." Mia's fist slammed into the shower wall. The memory of the explosion was worse than the actual blast had been. 1 second, they were joking. The next, she shut off the water. Back in the barracks, the recruits were asleep or pretending to be. Mia dressed quietly, her movements precise, controlled. Then she saw it. Her duffel bag had been rifled through. She crouched, checking the hidden pocket inside. The photo was still there. Her, Reyes, and Montez, arms around each other, grinning like idiots in front of their Humvee. But someone had left a message on top of it. A single bullet. Mia's fingers curled around the casing. Cold. Heavy. A threat, not a gift. She looked up. Jake's bunk was empty. The next morning, the recruits assembled at 0500 sharp. Harkov stood waiting, his expression unreadable. "Today," he said, "you're running tactical simulations. 2 teams. Winners get weekend leave. Losers at latrine duty for a month." Jake smirked. "Looks like Princess is on cleanup detail." Harkov ignored him. "Vasquez, your team lead for Alpha." The recruit stiffened. Team lead was always earned, never given. Jake's face darkened. "Sir, with all due respect." "You got a problem, Mercer?" Harkov's voice was dangerously calm. Jake hesitated. "No, sir." "Good. Gear up." The simulation was a hostage rescue in a mock urban environment. Alpha Team had 20 minutes to extract a high-value target before Bravo Team, led by Jake, could intercept. Mia's team huddled around her. They were all older recruits, men who'd barely spoken to her before today. Now, they waited for orders. She pointed to the blueprint. "We go in here. Silent until the last possible second. Then we hit hard and fast." One of the men, Garcia, frowned. "That's a death trap. Only one exit." Mia met his eyes. "Exactly. They'll expect us to spread out. Instead, we bottlenecked them." "A beat." Then Garcia nodded. The exercise started. Mia moved like a shadow, her team following close behind. They breached the building without a sound, taking out Bravo's sentries with practiced efficiency. Then chaos. Jake's team ambushed them from a side corridor, just as Mia predicted. But instead of retreating, she signaled her team forward, driving Bravo into the narrow hallway. Gunfire echoed. Smoke grenades filled the air. And then it was over. Harkov's voice crackled over the comms. "Alpha Team secures the target. Exercise complete." Jake ripped off his helmet, his face flushed with rage. "Bullshit. She cheated." Harkov stepped between them. "How?" Jake faltered. She had to have known our positions." Mia reached into her vest and pulled out the bullet from her bag. She tossed it at Jake's feet. "I didn't need to cheat. You told me exactly what you'd do." The recruits went still. Harkov picked up the bullet, examining it. Then he looked at Jake. "Latrine duty. 3 months." That night, Mia found Harkov on the observation deck, staring at the stars. "You knew them," she said. It wasn't a question. Harkov nodded. "Reyes saved my ass in Fallujah. Montez, she was the best sniper I ever saw." He took a long drag from his cigarette. "They'd be proud of you." Mia's throat tightened. "I should have saved them." Harkov exhaled smoke. "War doesn't work like that." Silence stretched between them. Then Harkov crushed his cigarette under his boot. "Get some sleep, Vasquez." Tomorrow, you meet your real team. Mia looked up. Real team. Harkoff's smile was razor-thin. Welcome to the war. Undercover, under fire, the neon sign of La Rosa Negra flickered against the darkening sky, casting a sickly pink glow over cracked pavement. Mia adjusted the tight black dress that clung to her frame, the fabric itching against her skin. Undercover work meant playing a part. And tonight, she was Lena, a bartender with a questionable past and no ties to law enforcement. A bouncer the size of a refrigerator eyed her as she approached, his arms crossed over his chest. You the new girl? Mia forced a smile, slipping into the accent she practiced for weeks. Si, senor. Maria said you needed help tonight. He grunted, stepping aside just enough to let her squeeze past. The club's interior was a sensory assault, thumping bass, strobe lights, and the thick scent of sweat and spilled liquor. Bodies pressed together on the dance floor, some grinding, others whispering deals in corners. Maria, the club's manager and Harkoff's informant, appeared like a ghost at her side. You're late, she hissed, shoving a tray into Mia's hands. Table 6. Don't make them wait. Mia nodded, weaving through the crowd. Table 6 was tucked in a shadowy corner, occupied by 3 men in crisp suits who looked entirely out of place among the club's usual clientele. Cartel. She recognized the tallest one instantly. Rafael Varga, a mid-level enforcer with a reputation for creative violence. DEA intelligence had him pegged as the club's silent owner, laundering money through the bar. Mia set the drinks down, careful to keep her eyes lowered. Anything else, senors? Varga's gaze lingered on her a beat too long. You're new. First night. He swirled his whiskey, ice clinking. Where'd you work before? A test. El Sol, she lied, naming a dive bar in a neighboring district. Got fired after the owner's wife caught him staring at my ass. Varga's lips twitched. One of his men chuckled. Lucky for us, then, Varga said, sliding $100 bill onto her tray. Stick around, Bonita. I like your attitude. Mia forced a laugh and retreated, her pulse hammering. The night blurred into a rhythm, serving drinks, laughing at crude jokes, pretending not to overhear conversations about shipments and drop points. She memorized every detail, every name, filing them away for her report. Then, at 1:37 a.m., everything went sideways. A hand grabbed her wrist as she passed the dim hallway. Mia spun, ready to strike, until she saw Maria's panicked face. You need to leave. Now. Mia frowned. What? Maria shoved her toward the back exit. Vargas Sicario just walked in, and he knows you. Ice flooded Mia's veins. That's impossible. I've never. He was at your last bust in Phoenix. Shit. Mia's undercover op in Arizona 6 months ago had gone loud, very loud. She'd been masked, but if someone had seen her eyes, heard her voice. A crash echoed from the main room. Raised voices. Then a gunshot. Maria didn't wait. She bolted down the hall. Mia moved on instinct, ducking into the kitchen. The staff barely glanced at her as she beelined for the alley exit. The door flew open before she reached it. Vargas Sicario stood framed in the doorway, a pistol dangling from his hand. He was younger than she expected, early 20s, with a jagged scar cutting through his eyebrow. His eyes locked onto hers. Not a question. An accusation. Mia didn't hesitate. She grabbed a steel pan from the counter and swung. The Sicario dodged, but not fast enough. The edge caught his temple, sending him staggering. Mia lunged for the door, but he recovered quicker than she anticipated, tackling her into a stack of crates. They hit the ground hard. His fingers clawed at her hair, her face, trying to pin her. Mia drove her knee into his ribs, then her elbow into his throat. He gagged, grip loosening. Another gunshot, this time from the alley. The Sicario jerked, then collapsed on top of her, blood blooming across his chest. Mia rolled him off, scrambling to her feet. Harkoff stood in the alley, smoke curling from his silenced pistol. Truck. Now! The safe house was a cramped apartment above a mechanic's shop. Mia paced the length of the living room, adrenaline still burning through her veins. They made me, she spat. How the hell did they make me? Harkov tossed the file onto the table. Because it wasn't random. He flipped it open, revealing a surveillance photo. Jake Mercer, leaning against a car outside DEA headquarters, talking to a man in a suit. A man Mia recognized. Varga. Her stomach dropped. He's dirty. Harkov's expression was grim. And now he knows you're here. Betrayal in the ranks. The safe house fan spun lazily, doing nothing to cut through the desert heat pressing against the windows. Mia stared at the photo of Jake and Varga, her fingers leaving damp prints on the glossy surface. The image was undeniable. Jake, leaning against his car, accepting an envelope from the cartel lieutenant. Harkov lit a cigarette, the flare of the match casting harsh shadows across his face. We got two problems. One, Varga knows your face now. Two, he jabbed a finger at the photo, we've got a rat in the DEA. Mia's knuckles whitened around the edge of the table. We bring him in. Now. Not that simple. Harkov exhaled a stream of smoke. Mercer's connected. His uncle's a senator. We move without ironclad proof. This whole operation burns, and we burn with it. A car horn blared outside. Mia tensed, her hand drifting toward her sidearm before she recognized the pattern. Two short, one long. Their lookout signaling all clear. She forced herself to breathe. So what's the play? Harkov unfolded a map of the city, marked with red circles. Varga's moving a shipment tonight. Heavy firepower. If Mercer's feeding them intel, he'll be there. He tapped a warehouse near the docks. We catch them together, we own them both. Mia studied the map. The location was a kill box, water on three sides. Only one road in or out. It's a trap. Damn right it is. Harkov's grin was all teeth. Just not for us. The docks reeked of salt and diesel. Mia crouched behind a stack of shipping containers, the night vision goggles turning the world an eerie green. Through her earpiece, Harkov's voice crackled. Bravo team in position. No sign of Mercer yet. She adjusted her grip on the rifle. Copy. Below them, the warehouse buzzed with activity. Cartel soldiers unloaded crates from a truck, their laughter carrying across the water. Varga stood near the entrance, checking his watch, waiting. Then headlights cut through the darkness. A black SUV rolled to a stop. The door opened and Jake Mercer stepped out, dressed in civilian clothes, jeans, a leather jacket, his DA badge conspicuously absent. Mia's stomach twisted. Seeing it in a photo was one thing. Watching him shake hands with Varga was another. Jake said something that made Varga laugh. Then he reached into his jacket. Mia's finger hovered over the trigger. But Jake only pulled out a phone, showing Varga the screen. Whatever was on it made the cartel boss nod sharply before barking orders to his men. Something's happening, Mia whispered. The cartel soldiers moved faster now, hauling the crates toward the water's edge where a speedboat waited. Harkov's voice turned urgent. They're bailing. Move in. Mia didn't hesitate. She took the shot. The bullet struck the truck's front tire with a loud bang. Chaos erupted, men shouting, guns drawn, Jake spinning toward the sound with wide eyes. Dick, freeze. Floodlights blazed alive, illuminating the dock in stark white. SWAT teams poured from the shadows, rifles trained on the cartel. Varga snarled, shoving Jake toward the boat. You set this up. Jake stumbled, his face pale. No, I didn't. Mia stepped into view, her weapon leveled at them both. Yeah, Mercer. You did. For a heartbeat, Jake looked like a cornered animal. Then his hand flashed toward his hip. Gun! Mia fired first. The bullet grazed Jake's shoulder, spinning him around. Varga used a distraction to leap into the boat, its engine roaring to life. Don't let him get away. Harkov shouted. Mia sprinted forward, but it was too late. The speedboat tore across the water, vanishing into the night. Jake lay on the ground, clutching his bleeding shoulder. When he saw Mia looming over him, his lips peeled back in a sneer. You're dead, Vasquez. You hear me? Dead. Mia crouched beside him, her voice low. Funny, I was about to say the same to you. Behind them, Harkov barked orders as agents secured the scene. But all Mia could focus on was the burn of betrayal in her chest. and the knowledge that Varga was still out there. And now, he had every reason to come for her. Blood and ink. The interrogation room smelled of stale coffee and sweat. Jake Mercer sat handcuffed to the metal table, his shoulder hastily bandaged, his face a mask of defiance. Mia watched through the one-way mirror, her arms crossed, her jaw clenched so tight it ached. Harkov joined her, his voice low. Senator Mercer's lawyers are already screaming bloody murder. We got 12 hours before they force us to cut him loose. Mia didn't take her eyes off Jake. Then let's make them count. She pushed through the door. Jake smirked as she entered. Here to gloat, princess. Mia pulled out the chair opposite him, the legs scraping against the concrete floor. She sat slowly, deliberately, placing Jake's service weapon on the table between them. His eyes flicked to it, then back to her face. You remember what you said to me on my first day? Mia asked, her voice eerily calm. This job eats weaklings alive. She tilted her head. Guess we found the weakling. Jake's smirk faltered. You don't know shit. I know you sold out the DEA. Mia flipped open a folder, revealing photos of Jake meeting with Varga. I know you tipped them off about me. She added another photo, the bullet left in her bag. And I know you're too much of a coward to pull the trigger yourself. Jake lunged forward, rattling the cuffs. You think you're so damn special. Harkov's little pet, skipping the line. Mia didn't flinch. This isn't about me. This is about you being greedy. Stupid. She leaned in, entrapped. Jake froze. Varga's gone rogue, Mia continued. His boss isn't happy about losing that shipment. And guess who they're blaming? She tapped Jake's photo. You're a loose end now, and we both know how cartels deal with those. A bead of sweat slid down Jake's temple. Mia pushed the gun closer. Or you talk. Give us Varga. And maybe you live long enough to see trial. Silence stretched between them. Then Jake's shoulders slumped. He's got a compound north of the city. Heavy security. His voice was raw. There's a raid planned tonight. Your name's on the list. Mia's blood ran cold. Harkov burst into the room. We need to move. Now. The DEA convoy raced through the desert, kicking up clouds of dust. Mia checked her rifle for the third time, her mind replaying Jake's confession. Your name's on the list. Harkov's voice crackled through the comms. 2 clicks out. Remember, Varga's mine. The compound emerged from the darkness, a fortified ranch surrounded by armed guards. No subtle approach this time. Mia took a deep breath. Then hell broke loose. Gunfire erupted as DEA teams breached the gates. Mia moved with lethal precision, picking off guards as she advanced. Somewhere in the chaos, she heard Harkov's roar as he cut to the cartel like a storm. She kicked open a side door, clearing rooms one by one, until she found it, an office, walls covered in maps. And pinned in the center, her photo. Red X's marked the faces of every DEA agent involved in the dock raid. But hers had something extra, a crude drawing of a phoenix, circled in black. A shadow moved behind her. Mia spun, rifle up. Varga stood in the doorway, a pistol aimed at her chest. His lip curled. I told Mercer you'd come. Time slowed. Mia saw the flex of his finger, saw the muzzle flash. Then something tackled her from the side. Harkov, as the bullet meant for her heart tore through his side instead. Varga fled. Mia scrambled to Harkov, pressing her hands to the wound. Blood seeped between her fingers, hot and relentless. Harkov gripped her wrist, his voice a guttural rasp. Finish this. Outside, engines roared. Varga escaping. Mia made her choice. She ran. Burning bridges. The desert wind howled like a wounded animal as Mia sprinted toward the sound of revving engines. Dust stung her eyes, but she didn't slow down. Up ahead, taillights disappeared into the night. Varga's escape vehicle kicking up a storm of sand and gravel. Mia didn't hesitate. She wrenched open the door of an abandoned cartel jeep, the keys still dangling in the ignition. The engine coughed to life as she slammed her foot on the accelerator, the vehicle lurching forward like a wild animal unleashed. Her radio crackled. Vasquez! Fall back. We need. She ripped the earpiece out and threw it out the window. The chase was a blur of adrenaline and rage. The Jeep's headlights carved through the darkness, barely keeping pace with Varga's disappearing silhouette. Mia's hands clenched the steering wheel until her knuckles turned white, every bump in the desert terrain jolting through her bones. Then, a sharp turn. Varga's brake lights flared as his vehicle swerved onto an old mining road, the path narrowing dangerously between jagged rock formations. Mia followed, the Jeep's tires skidding as she took the turn too fast. A gunshot rang out. The passenger side mirror exploded in a shower of glass. Mia ducked instinctively, but didn't let off the gas. Another shot. This one punched through the windshield, leaving a spiderweb of cracks in its wake. Varga was leaning out his window, pistol in hand, his scarred face twisted in a snarl. Mia reached for her own weapon, just as the road vanished beneath her. A yawning chasm opened up ahead, the remnants of an old mining collapse. Varga's vehicle barely made the jump, its rear tires skimming the edge before finding purchase on the other side. Mia had half a second to decide. She floored it. The Jeep launched into open air and slammed down hard on the other side, the impact rattling her teeth. For a heartbeat, she thought the suspension would give out, but the battered vehicle held together, engine roaring as she regained control. Varga's taillights were closer now, close enough to see the panic in his movements as he realized she hadn't fallen behind. Mia drew her pistol. She fired through her own shattered windshield. The first shot went wide. The second struck Varga's rear tire. His vehicle fishtailed violently, then flipped. Metal screamed against rock as the car rolled twice before coming to rest on its roof, wheels still spinning. Mia skidded to a stop, weapon drawn as she approached the wreck. Every instinct screamed caution. This was too easy. Varga didn't die in car crashes. He died screaming, by her hand, the way he deserved after what he'd done to Harkov. To her team. To her. Silence. Then movement. Varga crawled from the wreck, his face a mask of blood, one arm hanging uselessly at his side. But his good hand held a knife, the blade glinting in the moonlight. Mia leveled her gun. It's over. Varga spat red into the dust. For you. A shadow moved behind her. Mia turned, just as the butt of a rifle smashed into her temple. The world went black. She woke to the smell of gasoline and the taste of copper. Her wrists were bound to a chair, the rough rope biting into her skin. The room was small, concrete, lit by a single flickering bulb, some kind of abandoned outpost. Varga sat across from her, his injuries crudely bandaged. Beside him stood a figure Mia recognized instantly. The Sicario from the club, the one Harkov had shot. The bullet wound in his chest was freshly stitched. "You're hard to kill," Mia slurred, her head throbbing. The Sicario backhanded her. "Speak when spoken to, Puta." Varga leaned forward. "You cost me a lot of money. A lot of men." His breath reeked of decay. "But you're going to fix that." He pulled out a phone, dialed, and put it on speaker. A voice answered. This had better be good. Mia's blood turned to ice. "Harkov." Varga grinned. "Guess who's coming to dinner?" A pause. Then Harkov's voice, tight with pain but steady. "Touch her, and I'll peel the skin from your bones." Varga laughed. "Too late for threats, Chief. You have 1 hour. Come alone. Or—" He held the phone to Mia's mouth. She stayed silent. The Sicario drove his fist into her ribs. Mia gasped, the pain blinding. Varga took the phone back. 1 hour. He hung up. The Sicario grabbed Mia's hair, yanking her head back. "What do you want to do while we wait?" Varga stood, stretching his injured arm. "Start without me?" The door closed behind him. The Sicario pulled a knife from his belt. "Let's see how tough you really are, DA." Mia smiled. "Let's." Then she moved. The chair leg shattered as she threw her weight backward, driving the splintered wood into the Sicario's shins. He howled, stumbling, just as Mia twisted, her bound hands finding the jagged edge of the broken chair. She sawed through the rope in 3 frantic strokes. The Sicario lunged. Mia caught his wrist, driving the knife up into his own throat. Hot blood sprayed across her face as he choked, collapsing. She didn't watch him die. The door burst open. Varga stood frozen, his eyes wide. Mia wiped the blood from her mouth. 59 minutes left. The devil's bargain. Blood dripped from Mia's split lip as she crouched behind the outpost's rusted generator, the metallic taste mixing with sweat and dust. Varga's shouts echoed through the compound as his remaining men scrambled. 6, maybe 7, all armed and pissed off. Mia flexed her newly freed hands. The rope burn still raw. The dead Sicarios knife felt heavy in her grip, its edge still wet. 53 minutes. Harkov would come. She knew that with absolute certainty. And when he did, Varga would kill them both. Unless she killed Varga first. A flashlight beam swept past her hiding spot. Mia held her breath as boots crunched on gravel just inches away. Checked the east wall. Varga barked from somewhere near the main building. She couldn't have gone far. The guard turned away, and Mia struck, her arm hooked around his throat, yanking him backward as a knife found a gap between his ribs. He died without a sound. She caught his rifle before it hit the ground. For bullets, not enough. Mia dragged the body into the shadows, stripping him of his sidearm and extra mags. The familiar way of the Glock settled against her palm like an old friend. Gunfire erupted near the front gate. Short, controlled bursts. Not the wild spray of cartel thugs. Harkov, he wasn't waiting for the hour. Mia moved. She picked off 2 guards flanking the main building, their heads snapping back before they even registered the shots. The remaining men panicked, firing blindly into the darkness. A grenade rolled into their midst. Mia dug behind a fuel drum as the explosion lit up the night, heat searing her back. When the ringing in her ears faded, only moans remained. And then silence. Mia peered around the drum. Harkov stood amidst the carnage, his shirt soaked with blood from his earlier wound, a shotgun dangling from one hand. His eyes locked onto hers. "You were supposed to wait," Mia said. Harkov spat red. "And let you have all the fun?" A shadow moved behind him. Mia's pistol came up, but Harkov was faster. He spun and fired, the shotgun blast tearing Varga's kneecap apart as the cartel boss lunged from the doorway. Varga screamed, collapsing into the dirt. Harkov limped forward, reloading. "You and I need to talk." Varga clutched his ruined leg, his face a mass of pain and fury. "Go to hell." Harkov kicked him onto his back. "Where's El Dragon?" Mia froze. El Dragon. The mythical cartel leader even DEA intelligence had never been able to identify. Varga laughed, the sound wet and broken. "You think I'd tell you? After what you did to my..." Harkov's boot came down on his throat. "Last chance." Varga's eyes bulged. Then his hand twitched toward his waistband. Mia saw the glint of metal. "Gun." Harkov jerked back as the small revolver went off, the bullet grazing his thigh. Mia's response was instantaneous. 2 rounds through Varga's skull. The desert went quiet again. Harkov stared at the body, his breath ragged. That was my shot to take. Mia ejected the spent magazine. "You're welcome." For a long moment, they just stood there, 2 bloodied soldiers in a graveyard of their own making. Then Harkov reached into his jacket and tossed her a phone. "Call it in." Mia caught it. "What about El Dragon?" Harkov's smile was grim. "Oh, we'll find him." He nodded toward Varga's corpse. "This piece of shit just told us everything we need to know." Mia followed his gaze. There, on Varga's left wrist, a tattoo she'd missed before. A dragon coiled around a set of coordinates. Harkov lit a cigarette, the flame illuminating the hard lines of his face. "Pack your gear, Vasquez. We're going to war." Dragon's Den. The coordinates led them to a forgotten stretch of Sonoran desert, where the border blurred between nations and law. Mia crouched beside Harkov on a rocky outcrop, binoculars pressed to her eyes. Below them, nestled between sun-bleached mesas, sprawled a compound that didn't exist on any map. 3 guard towers, Mia murmured, counting the silhouettes of armed men. Motion sensors along the perimeter fence. "And that's just what we can see." Harkov grunted, adjusting the bandage beneath his blood-stained shirt. "El Dragon doesn't take chances." A convoy of black SUVs rolled to the compound gates. Kicking up dust, Mia's breath hitched as she recognized the license plates. Mexican government issue. "This goes higher than we thought," she said. Harkoff's jaw tightened. "Always does." They waited until full dark before moving. The desert night swallowed them whole as they picked their way down the slope, avoiding the floodlights' reach. Mia's fingers brushed the Phoenix tattoo beneath her sleeve, a silent promise to the names inked beneath it. "Tonight, we end this." The fence was electrified. Harkoff disabled it with a pair of wire cutters and a prayer. They slipped through the gap like ghosts. Mia took point, her suppressed pistol leading the way past storage sheds reeking of diesel and chemicals. The main house loomed ahead, its windows glowing like eyes in the darkness. A guard rounded the corner. Mia shot him twice in the throat before his hand could reach his radio. She caught the body as it fell, dragging it into the shadows. Harkoff gave her a nod. "Clean work," before motioning toward a second-story balcony. The climb was brutal with Harkoff's injuries, but they made it. Mia peered through the window into a lavish office where a man in a white suit studied a bank of surveillance monitors. El Dragon. He was younger than she expected, mid-40s, with the careful poise of a man who'd never pulled a trigger himself but had ordered thousands killed. Harkoff's breath warmed her ear. "On 3. You take left, I take right." Mia counted with her fingers. 1. A phone rang inside. 2. El Dragon answered, his voice smooth. "Why?" 3. They burst through the window in a shower of glass. El Dragon didn't flinch. He simply set down the phone and smiled. "Agent Vasquez, Commander Harkoff, I was expecting you." Harkoff's rifle never wavered. "Then you know how this ends." "Does it?" El Dragon pressed a button on his desk. The monitors flickered to life, each showing a different DEA field office, a different agent's home. "I have men watching your men. One call, and..." Mia shot the phone out of his hand. El Dragon stared at his bleeding fingers, then laughed. "You think this changes anything? The dragon has many heads." Harkoff stepped closer. "Then we'll keep cutting them off." The door burst open. Mia spun, finger tightening on the trigger, and froze. A woman stood in the doorway, her DEA badge glinting in the light. Behind her, a tactical team fanned out, weapons raised. "Stand down, Vasquez," said Deputy Director Cole. "This is over." Mia's blood turned to ice. Harkoff snarled, "You're protecting him?" Cole's expression never changed. "I'm protecting the deal. El Dragon is CIA assets. Has been for years." The world tilted. El Dragon straightened his cuffs, smug. "The war on drugs needs villains, see? And my competitors needed removal." Mia's pistol trembled. "You slaughtered my team. Collateral damage." He shrugged. "But you? You were supposed to die in that ambush. Instead, you became quite the nuisance." Harkoff moved first. His rifle but smashed into El Dragon's face, sending the cartel lord sprawling. "We're taking him in." Cole's team raised their weapons. "No, Commander. You're walking away." The standoff stretched, seconds ticking toward violence. Then Cole sighed. "There's a car waiting outside. Get in, and this never happened. Fight." She glanced at Mia. "You'll never work in law enforcement again." Mia looked at Harkoff, at the names on her back, at the monster bleeding on the floor. Her finger found the trigger. The Phoenix decision. The gunshot cracked like thunder in the enclosed space. El Dragon flinched, his expensive white suit now splattered with blood, but not his own. Mia's bullet had torn through the monitor behind him, sending glass shards raining onto the Persian rug. "Next one goes between your eyes," Mia said, her voice deadly calm. "CIA asset or not." Deputy Director Cole's tactical team tensed, fingers hovering near triggers. The air vibrated with barely contained violence. Harkoff kept his rifle trained on El Dragon while watching Cole from his periphery. "You really want to die for the scum?" Cole's hand rested on her sidearm. "Stand down, Commander. That's an order." A drop of sweat traced Mia's spine as her mind raced. Every instinct screamed to put a bullet in El Dragon's skull. But the moment she did, Cole's team would cut them down. The cartel leader wiped blood from his cheek, his composure cracking. Do you know how many politicians I own? How many judges? You pull that trigger, you sign your own death warrant. Harkoff pistol whipped him across the mouth. Shut up. Cole's team surged forward. Mia shifted her aim to the deputy director's forehead. Tell him to back off. Now. A beat of unbearable tension. Then Cole raised a hand. The team stopped, but their weapons remained ready. Mia's pulse hammered in her throat. There was no clean way out, no happy ending where justice was served, and they walked away. Then she noticed it. The slightest tremor in Cole's left hand, the way her eyes kept flicking to the security feeds. She's scared, not of them, of what those cameras might show. Mia made her decision. She lowered her pistol and reached for her phone with her free hand. How about we let the world decide? With one thumb, she activated a live feed, the same encrypted stream she'd set up before infiltrating the compound. Right now, every major news outlet is receiving footage of this cozy little meeting. CIA colluding with cartels. DA leadership playing bodyguard. Cole's face went pale. You're bluffing. Mia tilted the screen to show the live viewer count climbing. 10,000, 50,000, 100,000. Want to bet your career on that. El Dragon lunged for a desk drawer. Harkoff shot him through the wrist. The cartel boss screamed, clutching his mangled hand. You stupid bitch. You've killed us all. Cole looked at her team, at the bleeding drug lord, at the still climbing viewer count. Her shoulders slumped. God damn it. She holstered her weapon and turned to her men. Secure the prisoner. Read him his rights. Mia didn't relax. Not until Cole produced handcuffs and snapped them around El Dragon's wrists herself. Harkoff kept his rifle raised. What changed? Cole met his gaze. I signed up to protect my country, not protect monsters. She nodded to Mia. That stream better have an off switch. Mia pocketed her phone. Depends. What deal are we making? For the first time, Cole smiled, a thin, weary thing. You walk away. He goes to prison. The world gets the truth. She glanced at the security feeds. Or most of it, anyway. Outside, sirens wailed in the distance. The cavalry was coming. Real law enforcement this time. Harkoff lowered his weapon. Good enough. As they slipped out the back, Mia felt the weight of the names on her back lighten just a fraction. It wasn't perfect justice, but it was close enough. The desert air tasted sweet as they vanished into the night. Where legends are born. 3 months later, the desert heat felt different on Mia's skin, lighter, less oppressive. She stood at attention in front of DEA headquarters, her dress blues crisp in the morning sun. The scars beneath her uniform ached, but she held her posture straight. Director Cole, no longer deputy after the scandal that rocked Washington, pinned the Medal of Valor to Mia's chest. The crowd erupted in applause, but Mia's eyes stayed locked on the back row where Harkoff leaned against the pillar, his arms still in a sling from their last mission. He gave her the slightest nod. You've shown extraordinary courage, Cole said into the microphone, her voice carrying across the plaza. The kind that changes organizations, that changes lives. Mia barely heard the rest. Her attention drifted to the new recruits standing at parade rest, younger, sharper, their eyes bright with ambition. Among them, a petite woman with a familiar fire in her gaze caught Mia's attention. Just like me, she thought, just like all of us who came before. The ceremony ended with handshakes and hollow congratulations. Mia escaped as soon as protocol allowed, finding Harkoff waiting by a black SUV. You look miserable, he said, tossing her a water bottle. Mia ripped off her tie. Dog and pony shows aren't my style. They're making you a legend, Vasquez. Might as well enjoy it. She snorted. Legends get people killed. Harkoff opened the passenger door. Speaking of which, you see the news this morning? Inside the vehicle, a tablet displayed a headline. El Dragon found dead in Supermax cell. The grainy photo showed the cartel leader's body, a crude phoenix drawn in blood on the wall above him. Mia handed it back. Guess some legends write their own endings. Harkoff started the engine. Where to, Agent? The question hung in the air like smoke. She could go back to headquarters, accept the training supervisor position Cole offered. Or Mia pulled a folded letter from her pocket. The one she'd received yesterday from a small border town's police chief. We need someone who understands the fight. It read, no politics, just justice. She looked at Harkov. You ever been to Santa Cecilia? He grinned, shifting gears. Sounds like the start of a bad joke. The SUV pulled away from the curb, leaving the medals and applause behind. Ahead, the open road stretched the horizon, where new battles waited, new ghosts to lay to rest. And Mia Vasquez, Phoenix Rising, rode straight toward them. This concludes Mia's first chapter, but her story is far from over. Want more gritty, real-life heroism? Smash that subscribe button and hit the notification bell so you never miss when we drop the next season. And tell us in the comments, what should Mia face in her next mission?